Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, and Your Highness. When we were clapping, I just saw that Herbert was actually going to come here and appear in front of all of us. The clap was becoming a lot. But my name is Uche, as you all know, and my relationship with Herbert started as far back as when I was 15 years old. I had just passed out of Nigerian Military School, Zaria, and I went to spend time with Herbert in Lagos and the family. And from that moment, Herbert took a likeness in me. I'm his cousin, his first cousin. Most people don't know. Once upon a time in my life, people used to see me a lot with Herbert, and most people actually thought I was perhaps his bodyguard. Some used to think I worked with GT Bank. Even, I'm sure up till this moment, a lot of people think I work with accessbank. But we were like inseparable. We spent a lot of time together. Every day with Herbert. Herbert and I were almost like 5 and 6. I met him also just before he got married, and I lived with him, stayed in the same house with him. We slept on the same bed. We went out together. He used to drive to University of Port Harcourt, where I was studying banking and finance, to come and visit me all the time. And we were like buddies. We were like, he was the friend I had in the family, and the only friend I really had. Up until the time when he married his wife, Chizoba. She moved into the house, and it was almost a competition between myself and Chizoba. Because Herbert would come into his room, and I would lie on their matrimonial bed, and we're chatting the whole night. And she comes in very angry, and in fact, at one point, she told me that I might have to leave her house for her. But that was the relationship. But Herbert took me into his life and into his family. I saw him through the birth of his kids, everyone. And we lived like a very happy family. We traveled together, we spent time together, plenty of times together, you know. We traveled together as a family. His kids apparently were the same age as my kids, also my older kids. And so he always booked trips with me and the family everywhere. He always planned ahead and said, "Oh, Uche, where are we going to this year? Maybe we'll go to South Africa, we'll go to Kenya, we'll go to Mabea." We spent a lot of time together. A lot has been said about Herbert, about how industrious he is and such a banker and such a businessman. But Herbert was also a man. He was a human person. Herbert had his fears. They say he's fearless. We talk about fearless. But Herbert also had his fears. And I stayed nights and nights with him. I was the last person to stay with Herbert before I go home. And he sat quietly. Today I see Herbert's picture in still motion, in 2D motion, like what is up there now. And I said, I've never really seen Herbert like this. I always used to see Herbert on the move with different kinds of emotions. And this is the first time I'm really seeing who Herbert really is. Because all the time I spent with him, he was always in deep thoughts. He was always on the move. He was always thinking about one thing or the other. And you could see that there was so much boiling and so much deep inside this man that we all revere today. But he had deep, deep dreams, and he dreamed so much about certain things. Number one was a bank. Access Bank was his passion. We talk about Access warriors today, and I said I'm going to come out here and say that they are Access legends, because some of us were in the forefront of when Herbert had this dream of acquiring the bank. Mr. Agbaja had said, Herbert returned from Harvard, which Mr. Agbaja had said in his speech, I think on Monday. And upon his return, he said to me that, Uche, there's a book called Management Buyout. You should read that book. And after reading that book, he said to me that there are 2 types of people. There's the kind of person who works in a bank or works in an organization and rises to the top of that organization as the CEO or as the helmsman in that institution. And he retires with a gold wristwatch and maybe a nice house and a fat gratuity package. That they are excellent men also, but there's a second kind of person who dreams big, who wants to rule the world, who wants to take over the world, who wants to control things. And he has taken that decision to move to that level. And that's when the pursuit of the bank started. I followed him and IG. He started with Chartered Bank. Chartered Bank used to be owned by the Indians. And you could see that they were determined to get into this business. Access Bank came up on board and they jumped at that, and it's history now. Access Bank is here. But the deep sense of the growth and the passion to where he wanted to take Access Bank to, it was deep in his belly. Herbert feared failure. Failure was one thing he feared, and he said this several times to me, that Uche, my greatest fear is for the bank to fail, and I will do anything to ensure that the bank does not fail. He angered a lot of people in his ways, not deliberately, but because he was determined to ensure the bank doesn't fail. And so in his dealings with people, sometimes he sounded, he looked like he was a bit brash in his actions, but all was in the course of his business and in line with the business. Herbert's house is called Oramaya, and in my language, Oramaya means, it just simply means, I'll just simply translate it literally, it just means that I do not jealous you, which simply means contentment. And he was content. He never had any jealousy or had any feeling of jealousy for anyone. Herbert was his own person, and he always wanted to succeed in his own way. So much about Herbert as a businessman, and we forget to remember that Herbert was also a very, very devoted family man. Herbert loved his kids. He always, people talked about how he took them on school trips to visit them in school, assignments, through their homeworks. He made sure that Tochi, Cheesy, all of them, especially Tochi and Cheesy, he always made sure that he pushed them so hard in their education, because that same thing about failure, he never wanted them to fail. So he did everything he could, everything in his power, to ensure that they had the best tutors. He made sure that they were learning. Every question he asked them was, Tochi, how your work going? Cheesy, how's your work going? He loved his son Cheesy so much. He loved his wife Chizoba so much. Chizoba was the darling of Herbert. Chizoba, when she returned and when they got married, this was when they met, sometime in 1993. Chizoba had just returned from the US and she was doing her NYC, and they met in Queenet's house. I was there that day. We all went together to meet Chizoba. And in less than 6 months, he got married. But she was so giving. She gave him all the support he needed. She spent time, in the silent moment, she would talk about how she needs to support him with me. We spent time talking about all of this, but she was really, really deep into supporting her husband, praying for him, ensuring that he did nothing wrong, and making sure that everything that he did, she was giving him her full support. I know time is fast spent, and I just had three items which on my list of things which I want to discuss, which included Access Bank, and I've spoken about Access Bank, and we all know how much he had passion for Access Bank. I've talked about family and how devoted he was to his family. But you see, later on, Herbert wanted to make an impact. Myself and Herbert had several conversations about how he was going to make an impact. And Herbert told me in his quiet time that Uche, he loved kids, he loved family, he revered everybody. Herbert made commitments to all his friends, made commitments to family, and he always made sure he kept to those commitments absolutely to the end. But he loved people that he called family. He called everyone family, and he called you my brother, he called you my sister, but he loved everyone the same way. So when Herbert had the vision or the mindset to give back to society, Herbert called me one day and said to me that, Uche, let's set up the How Foundation. And the whole essence of setting up the How Foundation was that he wanted to adopt 1,000 children, or set up a home for 1,000, in fact, literally adopt 1,000 children. And I asked him, Herbert, how do we adopt 1,000 children? Where are we going to keep them? He said, no, you know what, let's rent a place in Lekki and we'll keep them there. I said, well, that's becoming a motherless baby's home or a home. And I said, there are certain regulations. You're going to have to look for nannies. You're going to have to medical care. There's so much about doing that. And he thought again and said, okay, let's think of it. Let's think of how we'll do that. But gradually, it's birthed into Wigwe University, and Herbert found that passion, and he realized that he can give through empowering children, empowering young people, and he believed that young people. He believed that young people were the future, and that young people are the ones who are going to change this country. And he said to me that we are going to give them the best education. We are going to invite all of them. He said at one point, saying to me that, okay, let us look for our friends' children who are out of the country. Let us invite them back to Nigeria. Let us give them the platform. Let us put them in positions that will assist them to grow and become future leaders of this country. Herbert had so much passion for developing this country. He had so much desire to see the country become a great place with everyone in it. Herbert didn't imagine anyone. In fact, he always made fun of people who are always migrating, people going to Canada, people running off Japan, the Japan syndrome. Herbert always made fun of that, and he believed that everyone should be here to be able to change this country. Today I'm standing here strong, and Herbert used to always tease me that I'm an emotional person. And I said to him that I'm a soldier, and that I would show him that when the time is right, I would bring out that soldier in me. The time I believe is now, and I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be strong for Tochi, David, Hannah, and Okachi. I say to people that I don't believe Herbert is dead. My mom died in 2008, December, and Herbert was fond of my mom, and she died of cancer. And during the period when she had her cancer, he was there every moment of it. He invited Pastor Enoch Abodeboye to the UK to pray for her. When we got reports that the cancer wasn't getting better, he flew into the UK and said he was going to take her to the US. Asked me to put all the results together so far, and he sent them to the US, and the doctors in the US said there was nothing more they could do. Herbert cried that day. My mom died, and Herbert took everything, control of the entire burial, funded it to the end. Why do I say Herbert? I don't believe Herbert is dead, and that's why I stand here, because when my mom died, she died. There was a process. We saw her die. To me, Herbert has exited the stage, and he has acted his part, and he has played his part. And so he is behind stage, and he has left the stage for the rest of us to continue. And so, in concluding, I'll say my tribute to Herbert, my dear brother, that you came, you conquered, and you exited too quickly while we're all enjoying your performance. I would like to implore everyone here to please keep Herbert's dreams and visions alive. In relation to the bank, I would like to implore the bank and every staff of the bank that please, Herbert's had sleepless nights because of this bank, because of Access Bank, and so I would expect everyone to have the same determination, and please continue in that same force which Herbert had. Wigwe University was Herbert's new dream, to empower the youth. We've introduced Professor Miles, the Vice Chancellor. We have gone far. I started this journey with him, and we spent several times talking about Wigwe University. Herbert made certain remarks as to how he was ready to give up everything he had, including his life, for the university. So today, I would ask today that if anything else, please let us keep Herbert's dream alive. I have vowed to give up everything I have to be able to keep Herbert's dream alive. And the position which he has put me in his life, and how much he has done for me in his life, I would pick up everything and I'll take it till I see it done. Thank you, Herbert, Wigwe. Thank you, Chizoba, Wigwe. Thank you, Chizi, Wigwe. Adieu to all of you until we meet again. Thank you.